Welcome to the Gruber Morning Show. I'm Pete Gruber.
I'm Mark Schaffner. Good morning, everybody.
This is our EV portion of the show, and one of the topics today is going to be when will all of this hullabaloo end? And the image behind us is AI generated, and what we have is two camps of protesters. There we go. Squaring off in front of a Tesla service center, and it's one of the topics we're going to hit here. We've got some interesting news there. One of the first things I was going to lead with was the Ferrari is back in the news, and they are going to be announcing their electric vehicle in October of this year. We've got an image we can pop up here, and there are a variety of images that are floating around now. This was the official one that we saw. There are some others. Let's see if I can pop those up for you as well. Of course, it's going to be red, right?
Oh, it has to be red.
And let's see. Here's another one. This is a frontal view. This one's a little bit more exciting than the one I had up, but not quite the same lines as the side view that you saw. So some of this may be, concocted expectations, but the first one is probably the most real. Here's another one that we found. This is what people think it will look like. Got the engine under glass back there, so this is probably not going to be the EV because there's no engine in this.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see if I've got another one for you here. There we go. This one's got some cool headlights. But so yeah, they plan that by October 9th, I believe it is, they are going to have an electric vehicle. It is the first ever fully electric vehicle being built by Ferrari. And it will be built at its iconic headquarters in Maranello, Italy, but not in the buildings where they build the ICE buildings. They actually created a brand new E-building, they call it.
Yes, they did. And as I was looking up a little more information on this, Elkan, who's the CEO of Ferrari, spoke about their path towards electrification. And he said it started as early as 2009, which kind of took me by surprise.
Very much so, yeah.
They had a kinetic energy recovery system that they introduced to the world in 2009, and that was the beginnings of their foray toward electrification. They had hybrid power plants in their cars starting in 2014, and they've continued on the hybrid path for a number of years. Now they sell over half of their cars as hybrids.
Really? Okay.
And that includes some of their supercars and some of their Formula E or Formula One cars they have with hybrid capabilities. So it's not as big of a jump as you might think for them to be going fully electric.
We've worked on 3 LaFerraris so far, which is the hybrid version. And it's very Ferrari-ish. The battery pack, for example, could have been housed in aluminum, steel, or whatever, like the other cars. This one is in carbon fiber.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's Ferrari. What do you expect?
So the name of this 100% Ferrari EV, Elettrica. There's no C in there, 2 T's. And so it'll be... It's also part of that Ferrari arrogance to come up with a name that is, completely different than what you would expect.
Yeah. And then the main review that I heard of that was, boy, that's so unimaginative.
Yeah. Well, it was like LaFerrari. I mean, how imaginative is that?
Well, exactly. I did also find out that and I think we've reported on this before, their anticipated starting price for this is going to be somewhere around $530,000 at least.
Okay, all right. For that clientele, that's probably not too much of a stretch. When you get up into $2 to $5 million per car range, then it separates the boys from the men.
It sure does.
They say that the design on this car is backed by Formula One hybrid know-how and a brand new E-building, of course, in Maranello. And they are crafting the key electric components in-house, keeping that signature Ferrari touch, even in the EV area. Well, they're going to have to get some talent then. They're mechanical giants, but I don't know about their EV expertise.
I don't know. I'm actually kind of hopeful considering how much time they have put into hybrids that they're going to be okay as far as their EV knowledge. That probably is the biggest surprise to me, that they are taking the time to build pretty much all of their componentry in-house. They're not subcontracting any of it.
And of course, the unknown remains. Having been an exotic car owner, it's the tactile sensation, the vibration, the gear shifting, the noise that comes with that wonderful symphonic exhaust tone. How will these new cars fare with that clientele? And we don't know that yet.
We don't. Are the cars going to have that EV motor whine, or are they just going to be completely silent?
Or have, as somebody put it last week, have a sound bar in the back, replicating that sound with an audio method.
Yeah.
Just isn't going to be the same, folks.
No, it won't.
All right. Moving along here, we've got a graph that was kind of interesting. Let's pop that up. And this one, the headline there is, even with Tesla's slight decline in sales due to economic pressure, and the Model Y refresh production changeover, Tesla still had more new vehicle registrations in February of this year than the next 9 competitors combined. So take a look at that list. 35,159 for Tesla in February. Then you can see the rest of the players there. Pretty impressive in a market like this.
It really is. I get it that Tesla's sales are coming down. People don't like Elon Musk because of his political views. At the same time, the EV marketplace itself is growing. It's up another 11% or so in 2025. At some point, those two forces are going to collide. And you're going to find that Tesla doesn't shrink as much as you would think that it would.
Yeah. So, Mark, tell us about the U.S. Oil and Gas Association President Tim Stewart and his recent purchase of a Tesla.
Yeah, this was what made our thumbnail this morning. We've heard about the protesters. We're starting to hear about some people counter-protesting as well. U.S. Gas and Oil Association President Tim Stewart recently purchased a Model 3. The reason for his purchase is very symbolic. He is openly advocating for cooperation between the oil and gas industry and between the electric vehicle industry. In his own words, he says, "It was my way of protesting against the protesters." What he goes on to explain is that natural gas is one of, if not the largest, fuel method to power electric generation in the United States. And that means it makes a lot of EVs compatible with traditional energy. He says that a lot of Americans are looking at a veritable army of morons that are protesting requiring greater efficiency and accountability of our federal government, which for decades has not been held to any standard of accountability or efficiency. And when someone like the Musk team shines a light on what's really happening, he continues, they squeal like stuck pigs.
Yeah, he's definitely not mincing any words here, is he?
No, he's not. He says since his Model 3 will be charged with electricity that is generated by natural gas, he says it makes a lot of sense to give it a shot.
Now, there's an allegation here. He also was quoted as saying, so while they are getting paid to wave signs and chant their printed out chants, I countered protests by opening my wallet. How does he mean that they're getting paid?
There are organizations that are helping the protesters to be able to take the time off needed to do these protests or in the various locations where Tesla dealerships are at. I believe it's called the 50501 group. I don't know what that stands for as of yet, but they are actually paying protesters to go out to these sites and spend days at a time protesting against Tesla.
Wow, what a convoluted mess.
It's like we've talked about in the past. This is supposedly an environmental type of group that's protesting against the policies of Elon Musk, but in so doing, they are harming the type of people that are supporting them as a group.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it's kind of asinine, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that previously Stewart owned a VW electric vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
He had the ID.4, and he said that vehicle suffered from delays, glitches, and poor service. He said, because our 2022 EV is a colossal piece of German engineered crap, we can only go up from here.
Mm-hmm.
He also said, I would not wish this on my second worst enemy.
Mm-hmm.
I might on my worst enemy, but not on my second. So he wanted to give Tesla a shot. He knows that the quality of Tesla has really come up in recent years.
Yeah. His final comment is, he said, who would have thought we would live to see such times? It's cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria.
Yes, absolutely mass hysteria.
Interesting comments from somebody that's in the oil and gas realm. All right, moving along here. Lucid Group plans to enter the mid-size electric SUV market in 2026. What do we know about that?
Well, Lucid has come in and has made the announcement that they are going to move forward with their mid-size SUV vehicle. This vehicle, we've talked about it a little bit before. We think maybe it's going to be called the Lucid Earth. They're ramping up for production for it. They're actually trying to move forward. They feel that the time is ripe for them to put together a Model 3 competitor and something that will be an SUV crossover style vehicle, but it would be a little bit smaller than their Gravity.
You know, I'm just so glad that with this Nikola asset purchase, they're not getting into semi-trucks.
I am too.
Yeah.
That's so completely against anything that Lucid has tried to move forward, and it would have been such a strategic pivot that you'd have to ask, is this really Lucid wanting to do what they're doing, or are they just taking the toddler position of a young business, as a toddler sees the world around them, and they see all the opportunities that are out there, and they go dabble in a bunch of stuff, and they never get good at anything.
Mm-hmm.
Small businesses or young businesses go through that same toddler phase. The world is their oyster. All these opportunities open up, and the ones who can age past the toddler phase decide what they're going to be good at, and they get good at that thing.
Laser focus.
They keep a laser focus on what they figure out what they're going to be best at, what differentiates them, and that's what they do. The ones that tend to fail are actually more like what Nikola did. They pivot, they change, they move around, they expand the width of what they can offer so much that they're not good at anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the marketplace finds it, and it's not long before they're out of business.
A company in cash burn mode needs traction. They need it fast.
Yes.
So, yeah, makes sense.
You know, and Lucid's, speaking of the Gravity as well, we have the Lucid Gravity has been, you know, it's going to come out for consumer deliveries within the next 2 weeks or so.
We've got a comment here on YouTube. Finks Automotive is joining us. Welcome this morning, Dave. He says, good morning. You can go online, search Tesla protests, and there are people who will pick you up, give you a sign, drive you to the protest, and pay you. Outrageous.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Then Instagram, McNulls1 says, what up, Doe? Okay.
What up? So for the Lucid Gravity, some of the reviews are starting to come in. First drive reviews. We know in November, at the end of the month, Lucid put out a few Gravities for friends and family and investors and stuff. What was it? Something like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
It was their token, hey, we got Gravity out by the end of 25, just like we said we would.
Mm-hmm.
From that point until the first part of April, they've been sending Gravities out to various showrooms and places so that they can show off the car, so that people can take test drives, so that the sales process can get going.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're ready to start customer deliveries in earnest. And one of the first things they did to start customer deliveries in earnest was to have the automotive press come and do their first drive of production ready
Right.
lucid gravities. Rather than dive into any one article, because there were a whole bunch of articles that were published about a week ago by the major publications, Motor Trend, Car and Driver, TechCrunch, Jalopnik, Inside EVs, so on and so forth. But here's some of the titles. On TechCrunch, the Lucid Gravity, it's an electric SUV that doesn't make compromises. Car and Driver, well respected. The Gravity is the car that Lucid wanted to build all along.
Mm-hmm.
It beats the high standards set by the Air and the high expectations that people have had. It exceeds all expectations. Out of spec reviews, they're known for being kind of harsh.
Mm-hmm.
They don't pull punches. They said Gravity is the most exciting EV of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Inside EVs says Lucid Gravity is a promising start for a 450-mile SUV. It's ridiculously fun to drive. But my favorite one, and I saved it for last, was Jalopnik. Gravity's brilliance makes other cars seem pointless.
Wow. Okay. Strong endorsements.
Those are some amazing endorsements. It definitely makes me want to at least look at what this is.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that the Gravity is form factor. It's about the size of a Chevy Tahoe or a Ford, the Ford Expedition, so it's big.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got the room of a Chevy Suburban.
Okay.
And easily seats 7, 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. Even though it's big, even though it's heavy, the guys that reviewed it almost universally said this handles like a sports car.
Wow. Okay, so we've got a good product here, emerging. Production, I believe, end of April.
Yes, yeah. Now we're right there. It's with it being April 25th. Happy Earth Day, everybody! By the way, it's supposed to go out now within the next couple of weeks. Deliveries are supposed to start.
Nolvers is joining us, 53. Thank you. From YouTube, he says kindness is free. Of course.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. We've got from Facebook, Moses LaFontaine. He said, this is a representative of the convoluted Trump-Musk Republican minority that is frothing at the mouth to drag democracy into fascism. Joe Stalin, Putin, and oligarchs are just because I like the word.
That's an interesting perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are a lot of people out there that absolutely are afraid of what is happening inside the U.S. federal government.
And it's so puzzling. It's our money.
It's our money. I think it's more the methods.
Yeah.
I was explaining to my wife this last week, in the presidencies up to, I would say up to about Obama, Congress was completely given the power to legislate.
Mm-hmm.
Starting about the time of Barack Obama and becoming more frequent ever since, much of our country's legislation, our lawmaking, as it were, has been done via the presidential executive order. The presidential executive order was never designed to be the law of the land, but since Congress isn't stopping it, there is precedent for it to have become the law of the land.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody is using that executive order type of leadership more than Donald Trump right now.
Yeah.
And where the other presidents leading up to Donald Trump have typically deferred to a culture or standard of here's how things have always been done, I'm going to try to work within the system to change how things are done in the future. Donald Trump has challenged the system and has basically said, I'm going to do things how I want, and it's up to you to tell me I can't, rather than up to me to ask permission why I can. And that has put all kinds of stress and pressure on traditional institutions that have never seen stress or pressure.
Yep. Where will it all end up? All right, so here's another interesting article. Tesla speeds up odometers to avoid warranty repairs, a U.S. lawsuit claims. And this is a proposed class action lawsuit claiming that Tesla speeds up its odometers on its electric vehicles so they fall out of warranty faster, saving Elon Musk's company from having to pay for repairs. The plaintiff, Nairi Hinton, alleges that Tesla odometer readings reflect energy consumption, driver behavior, and predictive algorithms rather than actual mileage. And as a result, he said that the odometer on his 2020 Model Y that he bought in December of 2022 with 36,000 miles on the clock ran at least 15% fast based on his other vehicles and driving history. And for a while, he said, he drove 72 miles a day when at most he drove 20, or it was reporting 72 miles a day.
Yeah.
Hinton is a Los Angeles resident. He said that this caused his 50,000-mile basic warranty to expire well ahead of schedule, leaving him with a $10,000 suspension repair bill that he thought Tesla should cover. So he says by tying warranty limits and lease mileage caps to inflated odometer readings, Tesla increases their repair revenue, reduces warranty obligations, and compels consumers to purchase extended warranties prematurely. Tesla and its lawyers did not immediately respond for requests for comment, but have denied all material allegations in the lawsuit.
Hey, Pete.
Yeah.
Just within the last 12 hours, somebody asked Elon about that, and he said that the claim is absolutely idiotic.
Okay.
Yeah, that just recently came out because I think I put this into our group thing for you guys. And after I did that, it was 12 hours later, he made the comment on that.
You know, I have some personal experience with this kind of frivolous lawsuit activity.
Mm-hmm.
When the Model 3 first came out, there were some cars that were considered under the Lemon Law they were retrieved from the owners.
Right.
And there was an allegation by one of the major news outlets with a fairly popular reporter, names I won't mention, that was fishing for information internally within Tesla to prove that they were taking these lemon cars and revinning them basically and selling them as brand new cars. And they had asked us to participate in this, to gather information about this. And I felt it important enough to reach out to Tesla to let them know that this was brewing, because it wasn't some small, strip mall type attorney with a class action.
Right.
This could have resulted in some serious repercussions. It was one of the few times that I spoke to Elon Musk and gave him the information about this pending lawsuit. And but anyway, Tesla's a large company. Everybody recognizes they have deep pockets. And if there's a frivolous lawsuit that can be brought to the forefront, it's certainly the type of company that these types of people would want to go after. Absolutely.
There's something as egregious as messing with the odometer.
Mm-hmm.
That could sink a company even as large as Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
As far as car sales are concerned, if it were ever proven to be true. There are so many laws on the books about tampering with odometers and not being able to do so that it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense that there would be cars that would do that.
It's not worth it.
It just isn't worth it. It's just, yeah.
You've got a multi-billion-dollar company, and why compromise its health over a few lemon law cars? It didn't make any sense from the outset.
Yeah, and the odometer is the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Why compromise the company? And if you're doing it to one, would you not be doing it to all cars? I mean, that's the reason for the class action.
Yeah.
Well, simply, it's so easy to disprove.
Mm-hmm.
somebody go out and go along one of these regulated measurement strips of highway that are in many places throughout the country, and go run your car down the 2-mile measured strip and see if it comes up as 2 miles. And you'll find that it's just not an issue. This is frivolous.
If you want more information, this is a Reuters article, by the way, released April 17th. So it'd be interesting to see if this gains any sort of legs.
I just think the guy wants his $10,000 repair bill paid.
Well, it says that he's seeking, of course, compensatory and punitive damages for Tesla drivers in California, potentially encompassing more than 1 million vehicles, according to the court papers. Again, we'll see how this plays out. There was a judge apparently that let's see if I've got that part of the article here. That said drivers in this case must pursue their claims in individual arbitrations, not class action. So we'll continue to report on this. Got another article here, and this one has to do with new battery tech. Let's bring up an image here. As we've predicted, because of the amazing interest in EVs and battery technology and improvements, a lot of development, a lot of R&D is taking place, and here is a new hopeful that looks like it could be very promising. This is an iron sodium battery that can last 20 years with 7,000 charge cycles, which they say will challenge Tesla's Megapack. You had some statistics.
Yeah, the lithium-ion batteries, the traditional batteries that have been in cars up until Tesla put the LFP batteries in cars, have about 2,000 or so charge cycles in their typical life. LFP batteries are known for being longer lasting, even though they're a little bit less energy dense, and they can do somewhere around 5,000 full charge cycles. Now, a full charge cycle is the amount of electricity needed to recharge a battery from 0% to 100%. So if you have a battery that's at 90%, you take it to 40% and recharge it to 90%, that's a half of charge cycle. Mm-hmm. And so the idea that you would have a battery that would last for 7,000 charge cycles is pretty remarkable in the industry. I'm also looking a little bit on the energy density of batteries. Now, the energy density king is gasoline. Gasoline has about 13,000 watt hours equivalent per kilogram. Next would be lead acid batteries, somewhere around 350 to 400 watt hours per kilogram. That's kind of the holy grail that the battery people are shooting for to start with. Lithium-ion batteries have gotten up to almost 280 watt hours per kilogram, which is pretty impressive. They're approaching lead acid battery density. Energy density of iron sodium batteries is actually pretty impressive. They're talking about 200 to 350 watt hours per kilogram as well. So they seem to have solved energy density issues that have been plaguing the LFP batteries, lithium iron phosphate batteries, for many years. They started out at 150 watt hours per kilogram and have finally moved up into the 220. That just means you have to have a bigger battery in order to get the same range.
Right. And the other thing is lifespan. This has a 20-year lifespan, of course, with 7,000 charge cycles. What is remarkable in the industry, in the EV industry, is the real first EV in this century, at least, is the Tesla Roadster. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And the original battery design life was 10 years. And any of the old Tesla people, J.B. Strobel, for example, will confirm that. They're all pleasantly surprised that the Tesla Roadster, going now on 17 years, many of the old legacy packs are still going strong.
Right.
If they haven't been compromised, which in the Roadster world means you didn't charge it, it got bricked, the cells began to get below 2 volts. If they haven't been stressed in that way, we have many customers, the majority of them actually, that are still running on their legacy battery packs after 17 years. And no one at this point knows when true end of life will occur for a Tesla Roadster battery pack, which of course is 100% lithium ion, 18650 cells.
Yes. And, granted, a lot of the people who are driving Roadsters are not putting their batteries through full charge cycles because you have cars that are garage queens, for lack of a better way of saying it. They go out on the weekends, they do pleasure drives and stuff like that, so they might be doing a half a charge cycle a week.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing that nobody knew back in the day that we're just now learning is that it does seem to be charge cycle oriented rather than time oriented for most of these battery technologies.
Interesting. Okay. So, this iron sodium battery has absolutely no lithium. It's not required. All right. Well, we're getting on a half an hour here. Do we have anything else, Mark?
There's one other article that I wanted to talk about that has made the news recently. And that's that Tesla has full self-driving liability, and there's a potential of a class action lawsuit coming against them. Before we do that, let's get to Wayne Waters on YouTube, where he says, I have a 2020 Model X. I have no intentions of getting rid of it. My son and I both have $100 deposits down on Cybertrucks. We both have decided to cancel our orders, and how do we get our deposit back?
I thought that was a provision in the original collecting of deposits. If you're having difficulty, it would be a surprise to us.
Yes, it would. And, we'll ask some of our team. We have some former Tesla guys that were in the service center management. They might have information on how we could get that, where you can go to inquire about that.
Well, yeah. Actually, Richard, one of our social media guys, he frivolously threw $100 at it, saying, "Well, let's see what happens." And then, of course, he didn't have the funds when it came time to collect his Cybertruck, and I didn't hear him complain about not getting his refund back.
Yeah, I think he got it back. So for the FSD liability, Tesla might be facing the most expensive technical and legal showdown that it's ever had, and one of the most expensive ever in the U.S. auto industry. Here's the basic issue. Elon Musk and Tesla promised in 2016 that every car they made from that point forward would be capable of full self-driving. And they define full self-driving as either level 4 or level 5 autonomy. Now, there are 5 levels toward autonomous driving. Level 4 and level 5 is driving without a human.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward almost 10 years. We're not there yet. At the beginning of this year, Tesla had came out and said the HW3 computer systems that are in Teslas starting in 2016 are simply not powerful enough to take on full self-driving. In order for a car to truly get to that level 4, level 5 full self-driving, you're going to have the HW4 hardware. Well, that's misrepresentation.
Sure.
There are 500,000 customers who have purchased the full self-driving package, paying as much as $12,000 for something that now they cannot get because they don't have the hardware for it.
Right, with a certain expectation attached.
Yeah, there's that certain expectation attached. So this is a significant thing that's brewing for Tesla, and it started to make the press that it might go to a class action lawsuit. The National Highway Transportation Safety Board is talking about requiring Tesla to recall all cars that have the Generation 3 of their full self-driving hardware, bring it into the shop, replace it with the Gen 4 hardware, and give back to the customers at no charge.
Wow, that would be very costly, without a doubt, yes. All right. I don't think I have a picture of this, but a headline that came in. Yeah, there it is. Let's pop that up. We just got this in the mail this morning, folks, and order soon, and you'll never have to pay for supercharging, says Tesla. Take delivery of any new Model S or X, and you'll get Supercharge for free at any Tesla-owned supercharger for as long as you own the vehicle. Not transferable, it sounds like.
Not transferable, but that's still, that's been a really popular promotion. This isn't the first time they put that out there. And who wants to buy a Model X?
Yeah. And most people, I don't think, wrap their head around the fact that this is a major concession, because when we used to drive ICE vehicles and you would go to the gas station every week and drop $50, $60 into that tank if you had a reasonably sized car, that adds up over a year's period of time.
Sure does.
With the supercharging, that makes most of that go away. Now your home charging will have a cost, but far less than fuel. So yeah, this is quite a benefit, and we know why they're doing it. They want to stimulate some more sales.
Yeah, this is a good way to stimulate sales. One last question we have from
Sure.
Highlander. Welcome, Highlander. Glad to have you on. How difficult is it to change from HW3 to HW4 hardware? What I had read in the article was that it would cost Tesla somewhere around $1,000 to do that changeover, both in hardware and labor. Considering their labor rates are upwards of $200 an hour, probably it's a couple hours worth of time plus the cost of the components.
Okay. Well, folks, at 11 o'clock, in about 26 minutes, we're going to switch over to the Tesla Roadster podcast, which we do a couple of times a month. And this one is going to be fairly interesting as well, because we're going to talk about how we're beginning to use artificial intelligence repairing cars. The cars aren't being 100% repaired by AI at this point. There's still some human intervention. But you will be amazed. We're going to show you the types of AI tools that we are using that help us diagnose and zero in on a repair for the car. One of our engineers, Brad Luchik, is going to be joining us for that. And that happens at 11 o'clock. So if you're interested in the future of auto repair, this will be a good one to watch. We're also going to drop a hint that we may have a subscription service that we're working on that will be available, and especially for Tesla Roadsters, where you have cars all over the planet. Your service options every year get somewhat more limited as Tesla continues to regionalize and not accept Roadsters at their service centers. So it's very important that the owners have these kinds of tools available so they can do some of their own repairs or remote repairs with us being involved with AI.
Well, we look forward to seeing everybody in